Yo, this is major. This is fucking major. Vince McMahon has recently resigned from the WWE, the TKO group, due to very horrific sexual allegations. Like, no, this is next level Dubai badge type shit. I'm like, Vince, are you serious? Like, this is beyond like fascinating to me. So I'm reading the allegations. Apparently, Vince McMahon had some lady that was working for him, and apparently he was doing all types of like just wild sexual things. You can read up more about it, but apparently he was having her use WWE toys and naming them after superstars and having her hold down. He even took a doo doo platter on her. I said, "What the like? This is incredible." So anyway, he's being sued. He dropped out of the WWE, which means this is actually real because Vince is famously known for saying, "I'm going to die at my desk working." So this means this is very, very serious shit that he had to get the fuck out. And this is multiple implications on a lot of things. Like, whew, this is like the P Diddy and the R Kelly. This is that type of fucking deep of like trouble. Like I was jaw dropping reading it, and it brings the question like a lot of guys like what are we doing in relationships? What are we doing out here? Why are guys like moving like this? Like women are not prostitutes. Like women that are prostitutes, you can go find them that are prostitutes. But what happens is a lot of guys, and this is a great lesson to learn. A lot of guys when they get power, they start to become like these monsters. They become these monsters behind the scene, and it makes you wonder, like, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing back there? Why even want to get this far? And I think a lot of that comes from when you don't share love with like someone that you care for and you really appreciate. The only way to go is depravity and very narcissistic behaviors and treating people like they're fucking objects instead of human beings. And that's kind of the larger message from. That's what a lot of guys have turned into. It's like they use women as like sex dolls instead of looking at them as like women as people, actual human beings that have feelings, emotions, that want to be cared for, want to be loved, want to be caressed, want to be treated not necessarily like gods, but treat them like people. Treat them ethically. Treat them nicely. So anyway, a lot of guys are rising up and saying, "Well, she came to work and she still did what she was supposed to do, and apparently it wasn't that bad because she was getting paid for it and blah blah blah." And it's like, okay, brother. This is when money fucking ruins things for some people. See, a lot of things, love can't be bought. It simply can't be bought. But love has to be created through acts of gratitude, through acts of abilities, of like sharing and what's called reciprocity, and not just paying somebody to be around. And because you keep them alive by paying them this money, you think you could treat them however you want to treat them. That's a very foul way to think about people. Like the way you treat your workers, the way you treat your other like people, money should be thrown out the equation. A lot of times people just want to know that you care for them. And the way that this girl was treated, she said she has PTSD, she has some issues, which I can understand. She probably had a pretty high, well-paying job. It probably started off very small. Like Vince is like, "Hey, come on to the office, let me talk to you." And it slowly started to escalate into a more depravity thing. Like, "Hey, look, I'll pay you this much if you show me a titty or if you show me your feet." Then like, "How about this? Play with yourself," and it keeps escalating. And a lot of times when guys they get into these type of situations, they can't stop themselves because there's nobody that has a power and they have no friends around them or people who are good. They're like, "Hey, bro, what are you doing? Check yourself. Your ego's out of whack." And even myself, I can speak to this a lot. Not like I was going around shitting on people and doing this, but one of the things that happens when you start to make a little bit of money is that it reveals things about yourself because you feel like you can't be touched. You feel unstoppable. You feel like this, your ego's so crazy, you're out of whack. And you lose the humbleness to make you understand you're just a man. She's just a woman. Like, it's just, we're two beings. And I think that's what psychologically fucked her because now she's like, who do I turn to? This is a super powerful man. He has all the resources. He's keeping me alive with the job. I don't know what to do. And it eventually hits a breaking point where psychologically somebody just breaks down and they can't take it anymore. And then when they can't take it anymore, they just, all right, I gotta file something. I gotta do something. And you know it's real because Vince retired, nigga. Vince said he'd never retire. Vince was going hard still at 78 years old. And at 78 now, he decides to retire to go hide from the limelight. And this has a bigger implication because what does this mean for the WWE? What does this mean for the UFC, the TKO group? Because now, like the guy who was the head guy in charge, the CEO stepping down in the midst of allegations, people are gonna start asking questions. Well, who else was involved? What other employees knew about this? This might bring down the whole empire of the WWE because of Vince being a fucking piece of shit. And this is a larger microcosm of like just the dating scene and sexual relationships in 2024 is where women is gonna shut down and it's gonna shut the whole scene down. Like I think we really fail to understand like how bad a lot of dudes are behavior is, where they're just very controlling, very manipulative, and they push things beyond the boundary of what is ethical. And at the end of the day, women kind of just want to be loved. They just want to have a happy home to come to, a man that they respect, that respects them, that's trying to be loving, caring. It's not, you're not going to be perfect. A lot of times we have to understand that men, we're not going to be perfect, but it's the thought and the attitude that matters most. Does she feel like you know that you care? And doing shit like that is not showing that you care. It's not showing that you care as a human being, not showing that you care as a man, not showing that you care as a partner. And I don't want to hear about the guy say, well, she took the money and she knew that. It's like, bro, come on, let's be ethical about this, man. Like, that was your sister. Would you be all right with that happening to your sister? No, you'd be fucking pissed the fuck off. You'd be ready to go to war with it. And then we always forget sometimes that, like, powerful people, when you see somebody that's super powerful, somebody that's super in line at an organization that's like the highest level, there's a lot of fear involved. There's a whole lot of fear, and I've met some people throughout my life that they've done some horrific shit, and they don't get better. They don't learn a lesson from it. Instead, they just learn how to protect themselves better, so they don't have to become a better human being. And that's probably what like a lot of these guys, Vince, and a lot of these guys like R. Kelly, whatever his name is, P. Diddy. Instead of like learning the lesson, they said, "Well, I'm just gonna protect myself better and use more money." So I can be better insulated, make them sign NDAs and all the other types of shit that basically still keeps them being able to be the piece of shit that they want to be, but without having to deal with the repercussions. And what I'm starting to notice is in this new upcoming age of the 2030, the Great Depression, the Great Booty Depression, what I'm hypothesizing is like a lot of girls just gonna like the trust of men is gonna be just completely just done, finished. It won't be there anymore. And a lot of us are going to suffer because women have like a universal like communication system of their social network, because all women understand women. They all kind of talk. Like if you talk as a guy, if you talk to one guy, you're talking to 20 women essentially, because her friend's going to have 5 friends, her 5 friends going to have 5 friends, and it's just like a cascading effect. This is why a lot of guys, they get a bad name in the dating scene, and then women find out about you. You're blacklisted. Women stand on that sisterhood stuff. And it makes you wonder, man. Like, what are we doing as human beings? What are we doing as people? Why could this go on for so long? And I'm not white knighting. I ain't trying to say. I'm just thinking this as an ethical person, thinking as a human being. Like, what are we doing, man? At a certain point in time, we gotta really stop and think. Like, as human beings, why are we treating each other like so shitty? Why do we have such mistrust? Why do we think that we can just pay for problems to go away instead of doing the hard work on ourselves to make sure that we can fix the problem internally? Because all problems are really merely a reflection of you. You create your own problems. Like, there's very few things in life that happen to you that is not totally related to you, that happens in your life. Most of the situation, relationships, and things that occur, you create them by your behavior, by your actions, by the thoughts and things that you do. And one of the things I want to recommend to people is like start to think more in a pure light. Think longer term in the future. Is the choices and the action I'm doing today, does it serve a benefit for the future that make people, am I treating people kinder? Am I being more gentle? Because dude, when you read what Vince did and like the things that this woman is accusing Vince of, which most likely not, probably likely true, because I don't think that you can just make some shit up like this. You start to wonder, what are we doing here? Why? Because it's so horrific. It's like Dubai shit. It's like Abu Dhabi, Dubai shit. Like the Saudis type behavior. And listen, the Saudis get away with that shit because there's nobody out there to check them. Unchecked power corrupts absolutely. Same thing that happens almost anywhere in the world. If the power is not checked, it will corrupt. And so it's your job as a man to make sure that if you are in power, you have other powers to check you. If not, you'll turn into a monster. You'll turn into this animal that doesn't care, just takes, eat. Because man himself is very territorial, very, very violent. And unchecked with full power, you'll give into your worst self. Unless you have done the internal work to build yourself, or you have somebody in your corner to kind of walk you through and be like, hey, man, you're bugging, man. You're tripping. Like, this is not cool, brother. And we don't have anybody around to teach us, like, this is not cool, to check our ego aside and really let us know about ourselves. Dude, you're going to fall into the Vince McMahon trap. And that has consequences. That has real-life consequences, because it's not just, like, him getting sued and being, arrested or whatever the fuck for these allegations. But for you as a man, this is how guys lose their families. This is how guys fall into, like, depravity, because you don't have people around you to tell you who you are. And I'm pretty sure if Vince had somebody like he was talking to that would tell him that it wasn't really scared of losing their job, if they looked at Vince as an equal, they'd be like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? Are you out of control? And he'd be like, well, I don't know. Because a lot of times, like, just us as dudes, when we get to certain heights, we start to grow, we build ourselves. A lot of times we don't have self-awareness. And I think that's really, like, kind of most human beings. We don't have self-awareness. It's up to others to teach us about ourselves. And that's one of the things I'm working on, is learning about myself by talking to other people and having them, hey, man, tell me the truth about myself. Be real. And I bet if somebody did that for Vince, he probably wouldn't be in the situation he currently is, because he let the money, the status, and everything get to his head. And this is the result. And hopefully a lot of men will learn from the results of this allegation, because, dude, I don't think it's not going to be pretty. He's got to pay a lot of money, which I don't even think at this point she's even doing it for money. She's doing it for justice at this point, just to put a message out. And I think a lot of women are going to start doing it just to put a message out there, like, guys, we got to be better. We must be better. Not for us, but for the babies, man, in the words of Kratos.